A new report coming out of Canada shows that police in Canada are frequently violating policy with police checks. They're routinely releasing non-criminal information when people are getting criminal checks, because that's not what's supposed to be on there. What's supposed to be on there for police checks is whether or not the person's been convicted of a crime or anything like that. But this regular, non-related information is coming out on these police checks. Now, information released is not just information concerning convictions, but about charges and contact with the police which were either withdrawn or they did not involve any criminal activity whatsoever. If it didn't even involve criminal activity, why should it be on a police check? It's completely irrelevant. This also involves cases of mental health issues where individuals were merely, or in other situations where people were just contacted because they were a witness to a crime. They weren't actually involved in it, and this is showing up on police checks when your employer does a background check on you. That this shows up, and it's completely wrong. It undermines the presumption of innocent until proven guilty. In fact, it pretty much makes you look guilty to an employer even though you haven't done anything. If you haven't done anything, then it shouldn't be there. And this paints a terribly unfair picture of yourself to a prospective employer or to any kind of agency that you're looking to join up with, like a charitable organization. And it seems from the study released that the biggest target, like the people who are getting their privacy violated the most by this, is people in Alberta, which I find very surprising. There's an example in the study of a woman who wanted to become a big sister, to mentor, young girls who probably didn't have a mother, or all the other different reasons why girls are signed up to that. Now, she was denied because she appeared in court to testify on the death of a child. She was testifying as an EMT, an emergency service worker, who was probably there to try to save the child, had to testify in court on the girl's death. And because she had to testify surrounding the death of a child, she was rejected. I mean, this is insane. So these pedophiles who have no record can get in. But an EMT worker who in all likelihood is trying to save the life of a child can't get in because they were in court to testify over the death of a child. It's insane. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, the report also did say that a good example of how police checks are supposed to be done was how they're done in Ontario, and there's actually a lot of criticism that you could actually make of that, but said that it was the best example of one that existed in the country. Now, this report came up as several individuals have successfully sued the police over the release of this information that should not have actually been released. And good for them, because if the state is violating your privacy, you should sue them. As if they're violating your rights, you deserve to get compensation for that. So it's absolutely the right thing to do. Now, what I find so interesting is the fact that the biggest target of invasion of privacy is Alberta. It's either funny or ironic, or maybe even appropriate. Albertans in general are highly supportive of the ruling class. They tend to be a very reactionary group. Frequently they're likened to that of Texans. They have a lot of the same attitude, a lot of the same fashion, the fetishism for cattle ranching and oil, and they tend to be very reactionary along the lines that Texans are. Not to the same degree, but they are reactionary in that same kind of way. And they're the ones that are having their privacy violated by the state the most. It's just really funny to me that it happens to be them. But yeah. If you live in Alberta and you're getting a police check, I would sincerely suggest getting a copy of it and seeing what's being done about it. And if they're violating your rights, they're violating your privacy, by all means go into court and seek compensation for that violation.